What's up, Bulls Nation? It's the Bloody Horns podcast. I'm your host, Justin. Let's get into it, man. So it's official. It's the end of era. The DeBallZach era. It's over, guys. You know, DeMar DeRozan, he signs with the Sacramento Kings. We ship off Alex Caruso. Lonzo Ball, there's a lot of rumors that he's either going to get bought out or he's going to get traded. Somebody's going to take a flyer on him. Zach LaVine, the Bulls are trying their damnedest to trade him. So it's the end of an era, and there's a lot of fans on Twitter, man. A lot of people on Twitter talking crazy, talking reckless, talking real disrespectful about this group. And it kind of drives me nuts because this group, man, I mean, for those 35 games in that 21-22 season, that was the first time that we felt any hope as a franchise. That was the first time we showed any real competency as a franchise in a long damn time, in damn near a decade. So I love these guys. I love what they brought to the team. I love the level of respect they brought to the team, the professionalism they brought to the team. I love that for a little bit of time we were in first place again. It had been a long damn time since the Chicago Bulls had been in first place in the Eastern Conference. These guys got us there. It's going to be a long damn time till we're there again. So I'm sad that the era ended the way that it did. You know, not only the Lonzo injury, but the Zach LaVine injury. Zach LaVine just straight up was never the same when he got hurt right around the same time Lonzo got hurt too. You know, he finished out the rest of that year playing hurt. He wasn't himself. He started out the next year still playing hurt, still recovering, wasn't himself. He looked good to close out the next year, you know, once he got his legs back under him. And then this year he got hurt too. So DeMar DeRozan, he brought class to this organization. He brought a level of professionalism to this organization we hadn't seen before. He was a professional bucket getter, and you saw the impact he had on the young guys, on Dalen Terry, on Patrick Williams, on Ayo Dosunmu. You know, he did the little things, the little stuff like going to Ayo Dosunmu's jersey retirement ceremony at Illinois. He has no connection to that school. He'd known Ayo for a couple months at that point, but he was showing love to the kid, showing love, being a veteran, being a leader, being a mentor. So what DeMar DeRozan brought to the franchise, it extended far beyond the basketball court. You know, Alex Caruso, he's out of here too. And it's funny, I was thinking back when the Bulls first signed Alex Caruso, I was like, what the fuck are we doing? We signed this white boy from the Lakers who is just straight up not going to be that good, and we paid him how much money? Like, I was an Alex Caruso hater. I didn't think he was that good. And then it was the first preseason game at the United Center. I remember I was watching it. He's going crazy. He's treating preseason like it's the NBA Finals. He's diving for loose balls. He's D'ing guys up full court. There's MVP chance for him, and I texted one of my friends. I was like, I'm getting a fucking Alex Caruso jersey. This guy's the MVP. Like, I instantly fell in love with his game. So these guys, man, it was a special time to be a Bulls fan. If you're sitting here now, you know, 3 years later and you're saying, I always knew this wasn't going to work, you're straight up lying. If you're telling me that for that 35-game stretch in the 21-22 season that you weren't having fun, you didn't believe in this team, then I'm going to tell you you weren't a real Bulls fan, and you should go find a different fan base to root for. Because if that 35-game stretch, if you weren't convinced then that this team was going to be something, I'm not saying that you had to be convinced they were going to win a championship, but you had to have been convinced they were real players. They had beat legit teams at that point. So if you still were hating on them even back then I'm going to say you're just not a Bulls fan. And I'm just going to say, guys, there's a lot of Bulls fans out there who claim to be Bulls fans, but clearly they ain't Bulls fans. Clearly they don't really watch the team, because all they do is talk about the 90s. All they do is talk about the importance of championships. So those kind of fans, they can go to hell, man. That was a fun time. It's a time that, you know, 10, 15 years from now, when I have a son and he's getting into basketball, I'm going to tell him about that brief stretch, that brief era. I'm going to tell him about the Rose years, the Joakim years. I'm going to tell him about these years too, because it was a fun time. It was a good time to be a Bulls fan. You know, I have a lot of fun memories from that season. You know, obviously we got the back-to-back game winners from DeMar DeRozan on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. I remember the New Year's Eve one. My now wife, she was my girlfriend at the time, she came over about 5 minutes after that game ended, and she already had a key to my place at this point. She walks in. I had no idea she was already going to be there, and I'm like in the living room. I'm jumping. I'm going crazy. I'm dancing with my dog. She's like, what the fuck is going on here? And I'm like, baby, DeMar DeRozan just hit the craziest fucking shot I've ever seen in my life. And then he did the same thing the next night. His 50-point game against the Clippers, that's when the Clippers were still the Clippers. You know, PG was healthy. Kawhi was healthy. They all played. That was a game that the Bulls had no business winning. They got their asses kicked the whole first half most of the third quarter. That fourth quarter, he put on the Superman cape. He did his thing, led us into overtime, dropped 50 on them, got the win, beat a team that a lot of people thought was better than the Bulls. That was one of those prove-it games for the Bulls, and he showed up in a major way. You know, Zach LaVine, his playing game against the Raptors, he looked like prime Zach LaVine. He looked like a max-level player for that game. That was a lot of fun. The Lonzo play, man, I will never forget the play where he gets the steal on one end and fucking Patrick Mahomes is that thing one-handed all the way down to Zach LaVine for the 360 slam. That's one of the greatest dunks that we've seen, one of the greatest plays we've seen from the Bulls. It was exciting times. It was fun times. I don't know where the background of this video just went, but we're just going to keep going with it. So it was a fun era, guys. You know, the last 2 years, they were disappointing for a myriad of reasons. Both the injury, their inability to recover from the Lonzo injury, their inability to pivot off the plan when it became clear that he wasn't going to be back anymore. Billy Donovan's inability to make adjustments. You know, Nikola Vucevic's play dropping off. The roster construction, never getting three-point shooters around these guys. You know, a lot of reasons that this team fell apart, but for a brief stretch in time, man, it was fun. So trust me, there's going to be a lot of you guys. We got some rough basketball ahead. I think this team's going to be better than people are giving them credit for. I don't think they're going to be a 20-win team or a 25-win team or even a 30-win team. I'm banking on them winning 35 games, to be honest, just because I think there's a lot of talent here, and I'm a big believer in Josh Giddey. But there's going to be times next year where you're like, man, I miss DeMar DeRozan. I miss watching DeMar DeRozan play. I miss watching Lonzo Ball play. I miss watching Zach LaVine play. You know, there's going to be times the next couple of years that you guys that think of that. So feel free in the comments, you know, drop your favorite memories from this era for me. Keep it positive, guys. We don't got to be negative about it. We can have fun as a fan base, even though it led to no championships, even though there was only one playoff win. We can still enjoy the fun times. We don't got to be like the Italian Bull and just be negative all the time, just be hating all the time. We don't got to be like Kelder and just talk about championships or busts. We can have fun as a fan base. So drop your favorite memories. I'm going to post this on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. Let me know in the comments.